Happy Saturday. Welcome to H&D Abroad. I'm Herman.
I'm Dee. We are doing, I guess, our quarterly Q&A because we're probably going to be out of pocket some or with questionable internet. So we thought we'd go ahead and do that while we were in place. November is going by very quickly. And I'm glad that we have a list that we're marking things off of because this year has gone by faster than I would have ever anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are new here, the reason why we are talking about the year going quickly and having a planning document that we're working off of is because we are moving abroad. That is what H&D Abroad is all about. It is documenting the steps that we're taking, the questions that we're asking, the communities and countries that we are visiting with and connecting with, in making our ultimate decision on where we're going to probably start our journey. But the world is so vast. And as I say, and I am greedy. So I want all the beautiful things. And if you would like to join our community of folks that are considering it and learning together and sharing resources, you are welcome to join us live. We're live every Saturday talking about Move Abroad content. H has Mondays, Man Monday, and then I meet with the ladies a couple of days during the week where we talk about a variety of other things about growing and learning and adjusting as people who are 50 plus, who are currently in careers and are looking at what is next as we are empty nesters and all the things.
So if that sounds good to you, first and foremost, we ask you to like this video. You like it because you like it. You like it because you expect you're going to love it.
Absolutely.
We ask that you share this video and any others in our long list of video history we've had in the past.
Yeah, we've got a
almost
lot.
2 years.
We've got a lot of great playlists.
We had a great playlist. And as always, we ask that you, if you are new to our channel, to subscribe to our channel, become a part of our community. We are community-based. We are growing because of the contact we have with this community that is you, and we love these interactions. This, as with all things, is a conversation. So please go ahead and say hello to us in the chat. We know there's more people watching than there is people in the chat. Jump in the chat, holler at us. This is a put us on blast questionnaire. Doesn't mean we're going to answer everything.
We will respect.
But we will do the best we can to give you the best set of information. I think we pretty much have put all our business on Front Street already, mostly anyway. So we actually be a part of this community. Remember, this is
it's a conversation because not only are we able to answer questions, but there are a lot of folks like I see Pamela Jones's information in the chat. I know Servatunja Nikki will probably have a couple of answers in there. So congratulations on that temporary visa in Philly. So choosing your consulate is a great advantage for doing the Mexico process. We do have a playlist that talks about the visa process in the States because we went to Atlanta. We did our Kanye process, and there's a video for that. Which is you have 6 months after your confirming your economic solvency and the other requirements at the consulate in your home country. And then you have 6 months to go to Mexico proper and complete the process. So we went to Mexico City We talked about that process. We've shared in that playlist when we did the Conhe process, we had a facilitator. When we went back for the extension last year, we did it on our own. So if anybody has questions about the facilitator process or doing on your own, you're welcome to ask us during the Q&A, but I'll make sure that that I link that video. So I'm keeping myself honest with a piece of paper because I'm 50 plus. I'll make sure that I will I will add the Mexico visa playlist to the description. And I'm not going to point, I'm just going to say, and up here, I will also try to add it as a link.
So we take a second, give our shout outs. Hey, Nick, good to see you, Nikki. Servant Teacher Nikki is here. Our good friend Tanya Brooks, Servant Teacher Nikki, beat you in the chat this week. Hey, Beijing Alpha 4, always glad to have you here.
Congratulations on your move.
Again, hello to Pamela Jones. Miss Mocha Mama is here today. Good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome, hi, Kimberly and Nicole. Nice to meet you. Glad you're here to be with us.
Absolutely. Hi, Sophia.
Time to scroll down here.
Yep.
Hey, Sophia. Good to see you. Miss Jace, how's fam? How's it going?
We're going to spend some extra time together today.
The very, very talented Dr. Linda's in the house.
Absolutely.
Dr. Linda house. So we're glad that you all are here. And we ask again, if you're in the chat or coming in, always announce yourself. We try to give shout outs along the way. Sometimes we get caught up, but know that you're welcome. And if you're watching us from the future, please go into the comment section, give us a shout out, give us some comments, ask some questions. And
your brother,
never forget.
Your brother is always going to be in the chat.
Never forget the brothers in the room. So the sister came in by herself and the brother came in on his page. We're glad that you're both here. Hey, Dave, good to see you, my friend.
Absolutely. Great question, Pamela. So, all right. So we've gone to Mexico 3 times?
Twice.
Okay. Gotta keep up. So the advice is to not get into the tourist line that will invalidate your visa. They have the automated kiosk. Do not go to the kiosk. Go to the desk. When you want to make sure you're always opening your passport to where your visa is. When you get your residency card, make sure you also have that so that they know that's why you're asking about the resident line. I know they told us to get out of the resident line and to get into the tourist line. But because we pulled open our passport and had our residency cards, when we went back, they were like, "You have residency?" Yes. It's like they disbelieve that we have residency.
They're moving very quickly through that process because they're trying to move people through the line. I think they've gotten accustomed to our Caucasian brothers and sisters coming through, but we are still an anomaly to them. So you have to be very assertive about you are there for your residencies, because if you end up in the tourist line and they stamp your tourist visa, you have, as a tourist, you have to start the process all over again. So
there's a whole process of correcting it.
So before you step into the line, there's security people standing around, there's people directing you. If you don't have Spanish skills, use your Google Translate and let them know where you're trying to go. Show them what you're trying to do.
Yeah, show
and
that
you get to the desk. Make sure you ask them if you're at the right desk. Get that right. Tell them Conhe.
Oh, yes. We went into the line saying Conhe. We're here for Conhe.
Hey, Lori Butler. Good to see you here today.
Yeah.
And welcome, Organically Heard. Good to see you. Welcome to our channel.
So Mexico is one of the places that we really focused on in the beginning. The process seemed to have a lot more clarity than some of the other places, and it was close enough. And we liked the fact that that at the time that we were applying, that there was no residency requirement. Like we had to be in the country a certain amount of time. You know, we still have our careers. We still work in a way that requires us to be in the States. And so being able to qualify and maintain that residency without having a defined amount of time was really important to us. And we love that our youngest son was 17 when we were getting our visas, and so he qualified under our economic solvency. So he has residency as well, and is going to transition to permanent with us in 26. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So before we move forward,
yeah,
I think that'll lead us into good to see living, loving abroad. We're going to answer that question.
Yeah.
So let's move forward with a little bit of where we are now and what's happening.
Okay.
Is that okay?
I want to keep talking about Mexico.
Oh, we'll keep talking about Mexico.
Well, that's okay. Well, if there are more questions about Mexico, we can definitely share that from a relevance standpoint. But yeah, the hope is, not the hope. The way that we've got the plan set up is we do want to spend more than just the 10 days that we've been able to do. With each of our trips to Mexico, we want to spend a little bit more time and go to a few more places to visit. We love the idea of Oaxaca and Puebla. So I know that those will probably be two places that we visit as well.
But and this is a follow-up question that she has here.
Yeah.
Would you recommend going to another airport? She went through Querétaro. See, so our first time going, our original plan was to get our visas in Puerto Vallarta.
Correct.
But
this was during the pandemic, and they were switching the card system, and some places didn't have the plastic, and you had to wait a couple of days or more.
Right. And so we decided to go to Mexico City, but we had already booked flights to Puerto Vallarta. So we actually flew into Puerto Vallarta, got right off that plane, got on the next plane, and flew to Mexico City. But when we went back for our renewal last year, we flew straight into Mexico City.
I think what people need to consider, and it's not really a big deal, but I was really energized by Mexico City. And even though it met they were less likely to run out of material. It was, it's the largest city in Mexico. So there are a lot of resources there that could ensure that we could get maybe a same day or, within a day appointment, and then complete the process within a short amount of time. If you start off, wherever you get your Canje, consider that you may want to go back to that place for your renewal, unless you have permanent residency. But wherever you move in Mexico, you have to declare your address to INM. So if we move to Mazatlan, if we decide, hey, we want to live in Mazatlan, then we'd have to go to because we told them we gave them the address.
We have to do a change of residency.
We have to do a change of address with INM, letting them know where we've moved to. Yeah. So, yeah, Mexico City wasn't bad at all. Like, the line wasn't long. The people were the lady was really pleasant. Like I was.
Yeah, Mexico, and I think in the line between the line in Mexico and the line in Puerto Vallarta, I thought there was.
And we did. What was the other small airport that we went through the last time? Monterrey. We went through Monterrey.
Oh, right.
The last time.
That's right.
And it was a similar process.
In Puerto Vallarta, there were lines.
Yes.
And so you went through a line, kind of like going through a turnstile kind of thing. when we got into, was it at Monterey or Mexico City? They had us and they made us get out of this line and get in the other line. Was that in Monterey? There was just two little.
Oh, it was
security
Monterey.
booths.
It was Monterey.
It was just two little
Yeah.
security booths. So we waited halfway through this line for them to tell us to get in the other line, for them to realize we were in the right
correct
line the first time.
place. Mhm.
So it kind of is whatever your experience is. I don't know if it's a better or worse. I haven't talked to anybody about their particular experiences in the airport that I remember that we may have come up. So it's kind of just, I would be mindful about the whole process, about what it is you're doing and what information you're trying to translate to them when you get into that line, and make sure, and then just keep saying it, because somebody up there speaks enough English that they're going to interact with you.
Well, I would also be a little bit of a detective. There are some Mexico residency groups on Facebook that people are sharing what's happening when they're coming through, what's happening at the airports. There are also WhatsApp groups. So I would definitely get in those groups and ask and search. If you're in a Facebook group, please search the group first, because there's probably someone who's asked that question before. But also pay attention to the date, because things can change day over day, week over week. And, what was there this summer may not be relevant in the fall. That was probably the only detective things that I would be able to share. What can you do to convince? What can we do to convince y'all to move deposit line?
For me, everything right now is still in the, I got to land there and I got to look around. You all being there is a high factor for me. And I'm saying that with Steve here from Living, Loving Abroad. Because so Steve has asked, he knows we're coming down to Ecuador. Whoa, did I miss it? He knows that we're coming over to Ecuador, and we'll share that in a minute. And he's trying to mess with me with the food. So everybody,
as long as we can find a vegan restaurant, I'm good. And y'all had visited some really nice eateries. So I know I'm going to be looking for some places where I can eat, where what do you call it? Thai restaurant. I think you all did go to a Thai restaurant that I saw on your channel.
I want some authentic Ecuadorian food.
So Herman's the meat eater.
I'll tell you what I do and don't eat because of personal choice, and not necessarily like and dislikes, personal choice. But whenever I'm coming to any of you all's towns, any of you all's countries that you all are living in, I want what they serve. I love Thai food, but I plan to have my Thai food in Thailand.
and I have not found, let's see, I was hoping to be able to eat my literal weight in tacos, and I just could not find a vendor that wasn't trying to convince me to put meat on my tacos. So
there's a lot of vegan available, and pork too. See, I don't eat pork.
Okay.
but it doesn't matter. We can negotiate. I know we can work around it. So
yes, Pamela, yes, you're right. The Mexican residency group, somebody's sharing, because our facilitator is in that group, and you can search, because someone has probably shared about the WhatsApp group as well. So
yes. So David, yes, we are Arby's. We have the meats. And we are looking forward really to this traveling time, because
adventure.
So when we go back.
Okay, look, Okay, so Vigamo?
We went to Vigamo.
Oh.
Vigamo was lovely. When we were in Puerto Vallarta, our love place was the Green Place. So if you're in Puerto Vallarta and you want a vegan, the Green Place. There's another place down the street from the Green Place. I can't remember. We didn't go to that one.
Yeah.
But we went to Vigamo.
The place in Roma Norte that we went to twice?
That was Vigamo.
No, Green.
Oh, I have to look that one up. I can't remember.
It's
It's
called green something.
the green
Anyway,
grass. It was something simple like that. And it
yeah.
wasn't vegan, but they had great.
I
Oh,
was
the food was
surprised at the number of vegan restaurants.
right.
So that were just delicious, delicious, delicious. So food is a part of how we want to get acquainted with the culture. I know that our plan is to cook.
Mhm.
Even if the food is affordable, even though we want to eat the local food, I know my medical constraints that will not allow me to eat all the things all the time. So visiting the mercados has been really eye-opening. I'm going to have to my negotiation skills. You say that's $2. I'm probably not going to fight you. And that's not going to work out well because a lot of the places that we're interested in, it is a barter culture. And so it's going to be something I'm going to have to work on. And I feel like going to the Mercado is one of the places where, it's a have to skill. So you're going to have to use your language skills. I'm not going to always want to rely on and may not even have access to the language apps. So it's going to force me. So it's going to force me to learn
Right.
to not just speaking skills, but listening skills.
And Jace, I totally agree with you. Food is the best way to experience it. So I have a question for those of you all who are in Spanish-speaking countries who are learning some level of Spanish.
Yes.
I have been trying to choose a language assistant app. This week, I downloaded the free versions of both Babbel and Duolingo. Several years ago, I was doing some stuff with Babbel. It was free for a broader frame of time. Now it's only 2 weeks worth of free testing, and the freer version of Duolingo is okay. I had, and I'm going to use exposure to, and I'm going to explain. I had Spanish my last 2 years of high school, as well as my last year of college. And the reason
he had to take the advanced, and he survived the advanced class.
I didn't survive. I had a teacher that was very nice because I was trying to graduate from college. And
she loved.
So what happened is in high school, my principal was Puerto Rican, and I was in academy. I went to a small academy, which means sometimes she was available and sometimes she wasn't. So I was exposed to Spanish, but I don't think I ever really grasped Spanish. I can read it. I can comprehend the reading of it. I cannot hear it spoken to me. I can practice enough to give some sentences, but I have a problem hearing the Spanish as words and information in my head. So I'm trying to find apps and assistance, as well as some interactive classes that I'm trying to do too, that allow me the opportunity to do that. And so if you have done Babbel or Duolingo, I'm trying to figure out what, if anything, might be better. And I have looked up, Pamela, I have looked up Thrive in Spanish, and I have to go back to it. I forgot about that.
Aisha, Abroadability, who we've had on our channel before, who's in Panama, did a Q&A this morning, and she reminded me you can do Netflix in Spanish, and then there's also news in slow Spanish, news in slow Portuguese, news in slow. That is a paid service, but a lot of our the students that we tutor English with, they watch Suits and Friends and to learn as part of their English learning.
And I'm realizing that a part of my learning need is to simply hear, because I can watch a language happening and grasp what you're trying to say to me, but I don't know enough of the words, and I can't hear enough of the words to make sure that I'm fully responding to the whole concept of what you said. And so a part of me doing these apps is because I want to listen to it. I have some on TV, on Netflix that I get, but again, I'm watching it. And so there's a bit of, I get what's going on, but I really want to learn to conversationally be safe in a space.
So I have free access to Rosetta Stone through my job. And that's actually how Rosetta Stone teaches, because that is how we learned our first language. So I understand that concept.
So write down for me, thrive in Spanish, and write
Yes.
down for me, dreaming in Spanish.
Yes, yes, yes. I think someone else had, but Dr. Linda, comic books teaching really French and Spanish through comics. That is cool. If you can list what that resource is or spell it out, because, sometimes StreamYard or YouTube doesn't want us to do that. But
So I want to take a minute and say hi to multifaceted me. I don't want to miss you. And hi to Butterfly Effect.
Welcome.
And to Tamika Cummings. Tamika says, what cities are your favorite in Mexico? So far, we've only been able to visit Mexico City and Puerto Vallarta. I would like to go to Guadalajara. The food in me, the culinarian in me, the chef in me is very high interested in going to Oaxaca because it is a lot of the foundational foods place of the country. And so I'm wanting to go there. We have a lot of friends in contacts in Mazatlan and in San Miguel. So I'd like to go to see those for myself as well. And Querétaro.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I have a favorite yet. The Mexican people for me are just those are my people. And so I'm vibed about them.
Let's see. So I think part of mine is seeing the cities that my friends live in and having them share the city with me. So Chapala, Lake Chapala, Ajijic area is very interesting to me because I want to see Sonia and Donna. I'm like I mentioned before, Puebla is cities that have fewer expats are and attracted to me. So Guadalajara, a lot of the larger cities are interesting. Like I want to do things there, but I think I want to live because the point of living in a different country and it is to embrace a different culture. So, sometimes you kind of need to be forced into language skills and really transforming your brain. And so I think because we're going to a few countries that we'll be able to kind of compare, like do a head-to-head comparison of I'm going to do a list of things in each place and be able to rate them easy, hard, how we felt about them, how could we have enhanced the experience?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things when I'm deciding on a place, I can't remember who. Okay, Tamika, you still had the question up. Good. One of the things, Tamika, that is making a difference in my favorite cities is how active, if there is a expat group in the area, how active is the expat group? It's a telltale sign of the ability to tap into a community that would be responsive if I needed help or had a question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not necessarily trying to center myself with expats, but when you can talk to someone who understands you, maybe just from a language, perspective, I'm trying to find this kind of doctor, or they understand or can just provide quick resources. Nikki's experience needing to immediately move apartments, immediately. I mean, like it was a complete drop emergency, you definitely want to have an active expat community that can be a resource to you. It shouldn't be your only, but it definitely can help. I read an article this week where a couple moved to France, and they were like, "Oh no, we don't want to, we really want to integrate into the local culture." They were talking about challenges and things, and the person interviewing them asked if they were a part of it, the expat community. They were like, "No, no, no. We moved to France to, to live among the French. We really have intentionally not engaged with the expat community." But then she was saying it's hard to find a doctor, and we're having challenges, with the visa process, and I feel isolated, and there's nobody. I only talk to my husband and my cats, and we're going to leave because, this wasn't the experience we thought. And I was just like, have you never heard of culture shock? Have you not? You've got to have a lot of different resources. If you are going to perfect the pivot that is needed, thank you, Yvette, my friend Yvette, who we meet together to talk about our moves. She said, I'm perfecting the pivot and not necessarily trying to have perfection as a part of my process. So favorite cities, I kind of have a little bit of criteria around why a city might be my favorite, but I'm willing to visit a lot of places, but definitely not attracted to tourist hubs. And that's why Puerto Vallarta kind of went down on my list a little bit.
I mean, and I think I'm jumping ahead here. Steve is saying something I want to throw in here. And I also think it matters the preparation you have and the interaction you have. For them, moving as far away from expat areas was beneficial to them. And I mean, I get why. I mean,
so are you saying that, Steve, now that you are able to do, part of me says my language skills aren't strong enough to kind of be further out where like I have no one that would understand me. And so, yeah.
And I think it's a mix. I mean,
but the cost, if you're in an expat bubble area, then yeah, you're going to pay.
Initially in this move abroad conversation, you go back 6-8 months, a year in this conversation, you hear me say, I'm not particularly interested in moving where there's a whole bunch of expats of any kind, black, white, or otherwise, because my objective was, and to some degree still is, to really flush myself into what I want the people that I'm coming there to live amongst to feel I'm there to live amongst them, and not to, for lack of a better way to say it, gentrify their area. I really want to be a part of that area. And I recognize on the other side here the importance of having contacts. And I think having contacts is slightly different from being immersed in the expat community. If I'm engaged with the contact of people, even if I'm a little further away from that contact space, I'm close enough where I can interact and ask questions and grow, but not so immersed that I'm literally like, I moved to the other side of town, where some other people speak more language, but I'm still in my town. Right. So it's a matter of, I guess, perspective of how you want to land. In the question earlier I was asking, they got several, and I wrote them down, getting us several great
the resources.
So there was Thrive in Spanish that Pamela Jones mentioned. She says she's been studying for 2 years, and it's a wonderful Spanish learning community.
While we're talking about this, I also want to say Spanish is not Spanish for everywhere. Correct. So Bayesian Alpha 4 knows, I'm going to be learning the Spanish of the region that I'm in, so that I understand some of the local context. So there's, understand you're going to learn a basic core Spanish, but that it will be different for Mexico than the Spanish, all of the Spanish words in Honduras or Ecuador. So I know that I'm going to have to continue. And so, yeah. And then even within the regions in Spain. So, just kind of understand that the exposure is good. We were saying we've got just a few weeks before we head out to a whole, Central and South America. I'm expecting to have more Spanish on my brain. And so we're going to be doing a lot more, what do you call that? When you're just trying to get that as a part of my thinking. Mm-hmm. So yeah, more Spanish on the brain, I think it's going to make a difference in this trip for sure.
Let's see. Servant teacher Nikki said dreaming in Spanish.
Yes.
You can follow him on YouTube. Steve suggested language transfer.
Interesting.
LaShawn uses that one. I'll be calling you to ask about that one. There's a YouTube Spanish community called Spanish Playground. Wonderful teachers and free live classes on YouTube on Wednesday evening.
Nice. Thank you.
Definitely, Linda, especially with kids.
Yes.
Because they pick up what I missed. Welcome, Raven C. Good to have you here today. I've just recently
heard of Pimsleur. Yeah.
Butterfly Effect. Got that from both her and Tanya Brooks.
Yes.
Says she watches her Netflix shows. So I'll look that up. Hey, Joyce, good to see you.
Absolutely.
Hello, Michelle. Good to see you here.
Welcome.
Let's see. So Steve says we wanted to make sure we had public transport without being in the middle of the city where we see Americans every day, and they barely see any now. So trust me, I understand. And eventually that's my hope as well.
Absolutely.
All right. So Dee and I are going to be traveling.
Yeah. So giving you guys a little bit of background, we normally have more travel posted on our page, and we didn't have as much. We did house sitting this year, which initially I was saying that's not travel. We just didn't do any international travel. So for context, what we're getting ready to do is to do some more scouting trips, some more country exposure.
Correct.
So we're going to some places that are not on our we want to move there list, but
some of them are.
Everybody is talking about being there in those places. And so we're adding in some house sitting, which will, stretch our money a little bit. I am learning more about the cost of travel between countries in Central and South America, which was had its up and down. I was really hoping to have a little bit more cushion in my bank account, but it's going to cost us a little bit more than I thought to get to Ecuador. It's going to cost me a lot more to get back to the States than I thought.
Ecuador.
Not just from Ecuador, from Colombia. So we're gonna be sprinkling some Central and South America scouting videos. So if you have questions, I'm gonna have some polls on the community tab. So take a look out for that, where you can give some input on content you'd like to see us curate during that time, questions that you'd like to have answered. I'm going to do a little bit of medical tourism on the trip as well. I was getting with Dr. Ramantal, who we've had on this channel. She's the medical tourism RN. So she was giving me some advice as well. So if there's some other things content that you'd like for us to curate along the way, we'd love to be able to capture it and share it with you, or find out if it's true or not. It is raining in Costa Rica. So I'm just getting ready for some lazy afternoons in the rain. And so I'm excited to be able to have accomplished our financial goals. We got a chance to mark another one off yesterday. I am so excited, which means one of the goals that we had was to, by the end of the year, to have all of the little, when I say little, all of the debt that were these smaller financial things that I was like, I don't want them in my pocket. I wanted to have them paid off by the end of the year. And so we've still got 2 more to go. But yes, I am, I'm excited about being able to add more scouting trip content to our channel. Yes. Hey. That was one of the first things, because we've got to be able to plan for rainy. We've got to plan for beach. We've got to plan for kind of fall temperatures in Ecuador, and really high elevation when we get to Colombia.
Did you think you had problems? I don't think I had elevation problems in Mexico City.
Let's see. So the first time we went, so if you have not considered how elevation will impact your trip, think again. I know why I had issues, and that's from an existing health issue. So, but Mexico City, the first year, it took us maybe 2 days to get to kind of get acclimated, where we were really tired when we first arrived, and then kind of took naps those first 2 days.
And for me, it's hard for me to decide whether or not that was an elevation issue, because we got in late and then we got up very early. So we got in 11 o'clock.
It was probably it was 11 o'clock, because we got
in 11 o'clock when we got there the first year, and Dia and I were in line at the INM at 4:30 in the morning. So
yeah, he does. So yeah, was it fatigue, or was it really elevation?
Correct.
And I can say it was elevation because I was feeling dizzy when we were walking up the stairs.
All right, and see, I didn't have that as a problem.
Yeah.
So it is something that we will definitely be
documenting.
Correct, because we've already mapped out the elevation levels from the various cities that we will be in, and correct, proper hydration is a big deal.
Hydration, we added this past year when we did Mexico City. I also used, was it eucalyptus? There's an herb that you can put under your tongue that will also help. I will try to drop that also.
Mm-hmm.
How do you have my pencil?
Because I was writing down things.
Oh, that's right.
Thank
Okay.
you, dear.
Yeah.
So while you're doing that, I want to go back to this statement by Nikki, because we were talking a minute ago about community.
Yes.
Here's one of the places where I think community is very important. She's saying they developed a emergency contact tree.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal, because even if they're not people that you regularly are in contact with, if you need someone to be accountable to and be accountable for you, then you have someone in the area who can do that before having to wait on family to come if there's a high-end emergency. So
that was really poignant, because we got accepted through the student visa process to teach in Valencia, the Valencia province in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've watched the news and saw the flooding, it really we've talked about having an emergency plan, having your go backpack ready, having basic supplies, making sure that you're able to, have your documents that are grab and go ready in an emergency, whether, it's a natural disaster or something like a fire. Like, you've got one place that has those things. It's secure, but that you can take quick action on. But you also want to have some connections with locals. Locals can be, if you have local friends, if you don't have local friends, find some local friends, people who know the language, who have lived there and are able to share, this is where shelters are, or this is how resources are distributed, in our country, or, your local friends are your local friends. There are your local contacts. And especially in an emergency, it's important. And then definitely with what Nikki was saying, what Nikki shared with us about having to move, she was able to get a real estate agent. She had local people who helped her physically move. Move her things to her new place in record time. So when I'm talking about, like, I need to leave today, friends showed up and helped move her out later that day. So yeah, those are things that have made community and coming out of my socially awkward shell. It necessitates it. And I think it'll improve my experience too.
All right. So
win.
All right.
We have set as our goals, what are we going to do with our house? We've decided on what to do with the house. Y'all have seen us go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So we have a primary plan and a backup plan for what we do with our home that we own. We have let's see, so we needed to know how to pay for getting out. That was kind of criteria number 2 for us is, we've got to be able to have several streams of money.
Of income coming in. Great.
And so both passive and active. So we are growing those and have invested in business training and skills assessment, and looking at what the needs and getting to know our target populations for sharing those resources. So yeah, once the money is right, I keep saying, I don't believe that you need to know where you're going. I think you need to be ready to go. And so being ready to go for me means, we said before we leave there, we wanted the garage clear. So I have been taking video. I have not been sharing video because I have not been making as much progress, but annual enrollment, Jace is in the chat. He knows it is HR season. This is annual enrollment. I have completed the task. I am officially done. And so I have a lot more physical energy, emotional energy, and time to make sure that I can accomplish getting the areas that I want clear, so that if an opportunity presented itself to be able to leave earlier, then we can do that. So getting my things ready, getting my money ready, opening the right accounts that will reimburse my international fees, getting our WISE account, which, it's going ahead and researching the travel insurance. We're doing all of those things because like I said, I'm not trying to get ready. I'm trying to be ready. And our be ready date is, we need to be ready 1/1/25. Does that mean we're going to leave 1/1/25? No. But I think having these major things complete. I'm willing, if I need to get out of the door and I'm using, I'm okay. So y'all think my only friend is Nikki, but Nikki and David. But Nikki and David have shared on our channel several times. But the first one was, moving in fast forward, needing to fast forward your move abroad. You're talking about, I sent an application, I got a job offer, I need to be there, in 3 months. Could you shut your life down? Be ready. So that's kind of some of the things that we're doing. And a lot of the ladies in the We Out group and other groups are sharing things like, I want to hold an estate sale. What are my other options? What other apps are you using to get rid of your things, which is a huge undertaking for a lot of us. So
this is a perfect example of the collective and the individual process review. A lot of what Dee just shared with you is what we are doing individually, collectively for this process. There's also some individual work. Where Dee officially has a full-time corporate employment job, I don't have that. I am employed through
a couple of different
venues, including self-employment. And so a part of this process has been really trying to evaluate how to transform, in particular, my self-employment into a more digital, a more digitally accessible workspace. And so you've heard me talk about it, and it's something that I'll say again, for those of you who are new and don't know, I am a self-trained chef. My background is in behavioral sciences and HR, and I do, to the best of my ability, utilize those three things together as a part of my approach to the culinary world. But I'm wanting to get into potentially teaching some courses. I had somebody yesterday ask me if I was open to teaching classes, food classes online, and I'm trying to find out how to do that in a setting that makes a variety of learners comfortable in a space where they still are alone. So they're in their personal spaces, which I believe is necessary for people to being comfortable towards cooking, especially those who, the number of people who are uncomfortable with cooking is really interesting. But there are so many things to try. And I learned that from with my kids. They go, well, I'm going to burn it. I said, then burn it. Because you know more, unfortunately, from when you mess up than when you get it right. But that's kind of the transfer process and some of the things that I personally am working on. I also am working on some spiritual and emotional health areas, which I think are necessary to having in the go process before I'm somewhere else, before I add another factor of life change to whatever I'm going on. No, I'm not going crazy. No, I'm not falling apart. We're just talking about making sure that I'm fully making connection with myself about this time of my life. I just turned 51 a couple of weeks ago. You know, you're looking at life in a bunch of different places, and you're making a major advancement change. I'm taking a notice of my health. So there's some health things that I'm trying to adapt into my life. Those various pieces are some of the individual pieces that we've had to also address in this move abroad process. Did I address that correctly? Because I think that often a mistake people hear when they hear couple is where you have somebody. Dee doesn't fix my life for me. Dee adds to my life. And if I am not addressing my own whatever, then I also am a disservice then to her. And so, that's to give you a personal perspective, because, she discusses her own, but to give you a personal perspective, that's some of the things I think, in addition to, and I think that working on those things individually make me more open and receptive and able to discuss the things that we have to do collectively.
Mm-hmm.
We have different feelings about selling the house, and I think we go back and forth. So I am in review of my pride. I am in review of looking at it financially and goals. But I think the things that we decided to do, we discussed collectively, and we're on the same page. Even if we come to that for separate reasons.
Right.
Even if we come to that for separate reasons, our end goal is collective.
Yeah. I'm just it's hard for me, someone that likes a nice, neat plan, to be able to set a date.
Yeah.
One of the things that I said after going through this annual enrollment time period was never again. Like, I'm not doing this again. Like, what I have to do inside of myself to be ready for that time of year, it doesn't vibe well with me how we do the process. And I don't want to put myself through that again. And so I was talking to a friend, another friend that is doing the process. And I said, I noticed that you guys are not selling your home, but you're saying that you're not planning to come back. And she says, well, selling our house wasn't critical to us getting out the door, but I would sell if it would make a difference in my ability to not just leave, but to live outside the US for as long as I wanted to be outside the US. Mm-hmm. Another friend is decided to sell. And I was asking, and she said, peace. She was just like, the peace of mind where I don't have to worry about it. But it has to make financial sense. If the going rate for renting a home your size in your area with the amenities that you have, if you're only going to make $200 or $300 extra dollars a month, is it really worth keeping it with the risk of maintenance and, changes to the property code, taxes and all of that, even with a good, what do you call that? A good property management company, you're still on edge. Rob and Elise, talk to us about that. We've had them on our channel to talk about the move as well. And she was like, every time a tornado or a hurricane comes to Texas, she was just like, I'm just beside myself. And she was like, I just got to sell for peace of mind. So your move abroad should really, whatever the timing, should fall in line with what brings you peace. If you've set a deadline and what you need to do to get out the door is making you anxious, move the deadline. But I can guarantee you also, you're never going to move in the most calm state. Okay? Because that's not what happens when you quote unquote blow your life up. Yeah. When you choose, I'm going to live somewhere else, the newness of it all is going to trigger something inside of you. There's excitement, there's joy, but there's also the change part of our brain, the reptilian part of our brain that really likes the familiar, is going to be on high alert. And so I would not use emotion as the reason why I would move my date. I think something,
Mhm.
something pivotal. We have a date in mind. We're not quite ready to share it because I'm not saying I want to jinx it, but I'm telling y'all, I'm getting ready. I am ready. We're going to talk in a future conversation about the ladder that we're creating, or the staircase
Mhm.
to move abroad. We are, that, so step one, step two, that gives us options on several different ways. Step three, but get ready, because something or something you didn't anticipate might interject itself in your process.
Listen, the co-living life and living abroad are both saying, they made that decision, and I respect that. I mean, what I've come to watch and understand is I've watched some really focused, organized, structured, planned out people do this process, and some dirt grain get into work, and this, I mean, even if it's not a major mishap, something unexpected has happened for 99.9% of the people we have discussed this conversation with in their move abroad process. There was something that was unexpected. Even if it wasn't something disruptive, there was something that was unexpected. And you can control what you can control. Grant me the serenity
Hey,
to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Just for today.
And that is not just for people going through those substance abuse trials. That is a very important concept to consider every day, because we are trying to play God too often. We are too often trying to, well, I've decided and I'm going to do, and the universe has this way of going, let me lean back away from you a little bit, let me let you. It's like telling your kid when they're 3, they're trying to put on daddy's shoes, baby, you're gonna hurt yourself, and they're like, but I can do it because daddy did it. And then you just you can run over there and take them out the shoes, or you can wait a minute. And they trip a little bit and roll all over the place, and eventually they'll go put on their own shoes. There is a space of learning, and you have to be accepted into the process of where you are. And I think that Dee and I are accepting that we are moving in the pace that is predestined for us. And that we are actively working through in the time that is best for us.
Yeah.
We have goals and we have time frames, because I think it would be irresponsible for us to not
just that. I can't accomplish a goal if I don't have a defined process.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm just that person who loves lists.
But we also have to decide to not be derailed emotionally.
Right.
If we get to that line and decide the line needs to be pushed back a little further.
Yeah.
Because once we cross that line, we want to be confident that
I ain't coming back.
that we can do it the way we want to do it on that side. And we've also said, if we go and have to come back,
what do we do?
What's the plan for that? And why? Under what circumstances? It's kind of like the emergency fund. Okay. An emergency is not, I failed to pay the light bill.
Mm-hmm.
Emergency is, I was driving and somebody ran into my car and totaled my car, and I still have to go to work every day, and I only had one car.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have finances to plan for transportation.
Mm-hmm.
You forgot to put gas in the car. Is not to dip into your emergency fund. And a lot of people would cringe at me saying that, but that's not what your emergency fund is for. And emergency planning for this process is the same. We are both planning for the leave and the what if.
Yeah.
I am an extreme optimist, but I am also a severe realist. I want to look at what rocks are going to be in the way on this yellow brick road.
I think the co-living life is diamond. So hello, sister. And her story is inspiring to me too, that, you know, when you are searching for peace, when you look at your Move Abroad process and you look at the things that it's going to take, is that going to move you closer to peace?
Mhm.
It started to make letting things go a little bit easier,
Mhm.
you know, and being ready and not getting ready um, is helping. I think I've said I don't want a storage space. I don't want to store anything, and I'm like, I want to get rid of enough things that if I have to get a storage, that I get something small, but I have a plan for, you know, 6 months, a year, to making sure that I'm able to come back and let the final things go. But it is not my,
or have a more permanent place for them.
yeah.
When my grandmother's from Georgia, and when I was young, very young, she moved to Ohio, and her daughters, my aunts, moved to Ohio with her. When she was older, my father brought her down to Florida. This was while after I had completed college. He moved her down to Florida to live for a while. When she had a few health challenges, they moved her back with some of my aunts to Ohio. In that last move, because she moved from her last personal space home to either co-living and or co-living or to where she is now in a senior living, independent living facility, she designated a large majority of the personal things she had throughout the family. So pictures, her recipe book, which I'm trying to get a hold of, because as well as a lot of other personal things. And you know, they don't always go to places you know, why didn't I get that? You know, that's family, but those things are in the family.
Right.
And we have decided actively to share them with each other so that we have, if nothing more than a photocopy or a digital copy of those things, we have access to those things as well. So they're not in storage and they're not at one person's house. They are a collective thing. And so that is a part of our discussion as well. Our children are still young in their developmental, personal live selves. So I don't know if now is the time to give them some of those things.
Yeah.
So some of those things may go into some secure storage so that when they are emotionally and mature-wise ready for them, they can receive them.
Yeah. But it's going to be a very limited. Very limited.
Hi, Dr. Good to see you.
I miss you, darling. Okay, so I'm going to reach out. But yeah, we're going to have the Co-Living Life on to talk as well about what they're doing in a couple of different places. But yeah, this process is opening up some new doors, some new questions, and I still am not responding to the pressure of where choosing a place. What I am interested in pressing myself on is starting things that need to be started. Dr. Linda and I and Jace were all meeting about our businesses. Like, if a lot of us can take our work with us. I'm not a part of that group. But I still need to work. And so what does work look like? Those are things I can start now. And I think learning on this side has fewer consequences because I've got a good cushion. And so I really want to have something, several things that we're rolling forward on. So probably more about that in the time to come. But I think between December and January, we start talking more money content, financial. So yeah, if there are, we've got playlists on debt repayment, paying off a 6-figure student loan debt. I did a whole series about that. Let's see, what are some of the other, making decisions around residency. So we want a second residency. We are probably honing in on that more. And although we are not centering any of this process on the election, as you all know, I think there are some things that are important for me to have in place while this administration is in, before the next administration comes. I don't care who was in office. My process would be my process. The speed at which I'm looking at these things is definitely in my court. For me and mine, we're going to be ready. We're going to be ready and not want to get ready. We were looking at, and I'm mentioning this because someone asked a question in one of the Facebook groups saying, I'm going to renew my passport early. And they heard that you can't renew your passport more than 6 months in advance. I went to the State Department's website. You can get your passport renewed anytime. If you want to have 10 years forward while we're sorting out this administration and the next, you might want to go ahead and have it done. You can have your passport renewed if you're already out of the country pretty quickly through your consulate, through the U.S. consulate. I know everybody's not U.S. based, but most of our audience is. And so if you have never gotten a passport before, please, today is the day. I would almost say pay the extra few dollars to have it expedited. Get a photo of yourself at a Rite Aid, a CVS, fill it out. We have the passport book and card because I want a backup piece of documentation that shows I'm a U.S. citizen. And if you expedite it, it's usually back in 6 weeks or less. But guess what? When we did our renewal, did we get it back this year or last year? No, it was before we moved.
Last year.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
It was before we moved. I just, I didn't realize that during the pandemic, our passports expired. I completely lost track. So definitely encouraging people, take a look at your passport. If you've got a year or so left on it or less, whether you want to move somewhere or you want to bop around, secure that passport information, make sure you're not close or past your expiration date. And then probably the other piece of that is this is the time of year between November and December when things are getting ready to change, especially around the Mexico visa. I know all of the countries will, they may have new requirements, usually at the beginning of the year for your eligibility to come in as a resident. So if you're going to take action, go ahead and take action now. It's a 2-step process that happens one part happens outside of Mexico, the other part happens in Mexico. Some processes are really long, like Portugal. And so, or that could be long, like our visa to Spain. So that had some changes and is now a much shorter process. So I'm encouraging you all, because it's assessments that we've done to make sure that not only are our documents in order, if you are leaving and you're leaving your job, make sure you're grabbing a copy of your certification of having health insurance for all 12 months and that you are starting your insurance abroad before you leave, so there's not a gap in coverage. Just little things like that that we're doing that I think are making the difference for us being ready.
Having worked in a government setting, I think High Vibe has a very important statement being made here because they do, as they say, thin the herd occasionally. And I would say, I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago when Tom Joyner was still on the radio, he had Take a Loved One to the Doctor Day. We need to use the same approach at taking loved ones to get a passport day.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
We need to encourage the people in our environment, in our universe, even if that means dragging them down there, even if it means giving somebody a loan, prepaying it, and telling them they owe you $160 back. I mean, we access, even if use doesn't come about, access to a passport. And because I also think that even in the country, they are implementing laws and standards that I think passports may also become necessary where you are. And if we have those in place, because there's the star
ID, but you can also use your passport.
Right, because more and more states
this is for domestic flight travel.
More and more of this country wants to look like
somewhere else.
Countries. So you be also mindful and be also ready.
Tanya, the 52-page book, that they're doing more e-stamps. You're not getting stamps in the passport. Like, people are really in arms about.
My passport has been stamped one time. I'm so upset. One time, I was like, I'm going places I'm expected to have.
I want to be able to.
I would have had a Morocco and a Spain and a couple of Mexicos. I got stuff in there that looks like me. But yeah, I think that's important. Any other questions you all want to ask? Let us know now before we shut down. We are asking for content suggestions, things you'd like for us to look into, discuss, explore. This content creating is work, is challenge.
But we are really here. I think the content really should be, we are listening to you, what your questions are, what your interest, what you're interested in. So we're Jace from Jace Made TV. I'm getting a GoPro. I don't even know how to use it, but we're gonna figure it out on this trip.
Yikes.
So
Say hi to Dr. Donna.
Hey.
Good to see you, the art appraiser. Welcome.
Good to see you, dear.
Dee and I are talking about homeschooling. So Dr. Linda wants to address homeschooling.
Oh, that's right. We're gonna do a whole.
Write it down.
I already did from our other meeting.
Sorry, my bad.
It's right there. I'll circle it and star it so you can see.
We are continually in a growth and learning process. And again, it is important to say that these conversations with you have been a amazing growth process in us learning and rethinking some of our preconceived ideas. And, thank you again for that, because it's always important to say that.
Yes.
Would you be willing to do content on the importance of learning new languages and culture? Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. I actually have a couple of contacts for talking about learning a new language as a mature person. Or if you already have some learning disabilities or learning challenges, how can you maximize the language learning process, or fully engage the language learning process? So great. Yes.
So Steve, it's time for our regular chat. So I'll be buzzing you so we can talk in person, because I need hands-on experience and understanding, because my brain's slow over line. But
I
definitely need some help, because there's a lot of questions I have that I think that we're realizing that there's some work we're doing that we probably shouldn't have to do if we understood some stuff better. Time being what it is, so we could use a little bit of tutoring. So definitely, I'll be calling you in a minute. Hey, Prophet Mother, glad that you're here. Glad you're listening in. Raven asked, are there any countries that you would recommend that are best for starting a move abroad adventure? I am trying to get my friend group involved in planning a country shopping trip abroad.
Ooh.
So the bad answer is all the places to all the people we've talked to. And the reason I say that is because every experience is going to be different for everybody. What I would do is poll that friend group on kinds of things they find interesting, find the common grounds, and then find places that meet those criteria. Mm-hmm. You'll be, I think, amazed to find out that most of the world meets those criteria.
Right.
I've been sharing recently, and I'll say it again, I think energies are important individually. Mm-hmm. So 10 of you all can go to the same place and have 10 completely different experiences, good and bad. So find some commonality so that if you go as a group, it's an experience that you all share. The overall experience will be positive because you share it together. Mm-hmm. If you're going individually, or as Dee and I are going as a couple in a smaller settings, then what is important to us? Dee and I have really tried to maximize the individual and collective. It's taken me a little longer on the back end of this to say these things might be important to me, because the most important thing is that right there. So she moves right there behind the dumpster. I get my nose clamped and we move right behind the dumpster. But every bit of that is a conversation that is.
And Raven, I'll actually be making an announcement hopefully shortly about some country shopping opportunities. I know that the Co-Living Life is also making some country shopping opportunities available as well. What I would definitely do is to try to expose myself. I mean, YouTube can be as filtered a life as, Instagram, where they show you all the pretty things. But there are some folks that you can tell are showing the true life. Mm-hmm. And I would definitely leverage YouTube for the exposure. I would definitely leverage, if you set your criteria, and there are a lot of us that are sharing, these are my priorities, based on my age, I want to have access to quality healthcare and healthcare facilities. And so that can rise high to the top of the list. If I don't want a language, have to learn a new language, then that can adjust your list. So, deciding not a list of 50 things, but probably a tight list of 7 things that I'm just like, these are the most important. Like, these are go, no go kinds of things. Somebody's talking or sharing that on their channel. And I would definitely be open. We talk a lot about Europe and Central and South America, but we're doing a deeper dive on Africa and places in Africa, and literally just letting the algorithm serve up, as we continue to look. It's serving us up new content creators who are sharing their daily lives, and that's giving us some exposure. And then y'all know I am not afraid of research. It actually gives me a lot of power, and I don't have to know everything because Claude and Chat GPT is a powerful shorthand as well, with discovering visa options, and comparing climates. I want a certain climate, and I don't do well with high elevations, and it'll give you, kind of those short lists. It can be fun to see what it comes up with, and it's also fun to see that I know more than Claude and Chat GPT in some areas because I've done my research. So
let's see. Steve's asking, when y'all make your final move, just make a video about needs versus wants.
Oh, yes.
And what you'll be bringing with you.
Look, it's not even before we leave. Okay, I told y'all I'm a planner. I have, so we're, if we're considering taking the black boxes with the yellow tops that everybody packs, I've got them labeled kitchen, entertainment, da 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 da. And I'm like, what's going to go in those boxes? Because it'll help me decide what logically I can bring, or that I need to put in a smaller container so that it can come with me, because it's very important.
So we'll definitely be doing that, because and we need to start videoing what we're doing so far too.
Yeah.
We'll go back to doing some decluttering videos.
Absolutely.
Also, please check us out on Instagram. We'll be doing some live in and out stuff that is in between these regular videos we'll do on Instagram. Yes, older learners are more experiential. We learn by doing, and I think that especially applies to us as men. So I say it again, wives, if you're trying to get your husband invested in the process, simply travel. And if you travel to the place where you are interested, don't go with preconceived and preset visitations and conversations. Let them absorb the space in their own time. Same thing, husbands, you're taking wives, take them the way you're interested, but let them experience it in their time, but share with them along the way why it's important to you. That was a little nugget. Dr. T says that her doctor recommended that she urged everyone in their family to get as many procedures done and drugs filled before February 28th.
Yeah.
And she says down here, hold on, let me skip down one, that the doctor is anticipating major changes across insurance carriers.
Yeah. I'm wondering if they're going to roll back the pre-existing condition. Anything that you feel like has always been there. I meant to mention this during the passport part of the conversation, is that we've been able to hold dual citizenship. We've been able to hold that. That's something that has always been there. But if you are recognizing how things are changing, things that we've thought would always be there are not. And so that may not be a possibility. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a realist who says question everything. And so I feel like this is the time where if I want to do something, I need to be shoring it up on sooner than later. And that's a great, great, great point. Thank you, Dr. Tiwana.
Tanya asks, should Mexico be the first country that she and her husband visit since he has never been outside the country? So let me answer, give you my thoughts on that.
Okay.
I'm not sure where you visit is which country is important. I think where you visit is important based on how you plan it. If you drop into Cancun, if you drop into Puerto Vallarta, if you drop into, what's the other high? Panama City. If you drop into touristy areas, I think you're going to get a misleading
perception
of what's happening. And touristy visits bring a measure of euphoria and utopia that is not daily living. But it also can present a financial, when you come at the end of a tourist visit, you're going, did we spend what doing what? And that isn't always realistic to the balance of life, especially in countries. If you're telling your significant other, hey, we're going this place because one of the things is cost of living is less expensive or more affordable or more manageable, but then you go touristing, you've contradicted that concept.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to do a visit, it needs to be long enough where you get a chance to interact the environment. Have a space where you cook some food, where you buy some groceries, hell yeah, buy some touristy things, pick up some stuff, go to the places, eat at the places, but do some of the living things as well, which will balance out both a better, in my opinion, perspective on what it is you're asking someone to anticipate. Especially if they have apprehensions or misinformation or whatever. So that's my thought on it, more so than just, Mexico is closer.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be beneficial, price wise, flying somewhere.
Yeah, but most places, what do you call that? Colombia, Panama, Ecuador, you can get back to the States in 3, maybe 4 hours. So that's not far, which is pretty much the same for Mexico. Mm-hmm. So proximity isn't necessarily that. I was, when we talked to Jice and he said, I wanted to make sure my wife had a good experience. So yes, I was gonna go to the practical places, but I wanted her to have a good experience.
Correct.
Here. And
Correct.
So it is how you structure the experience. You can stay in the nice hotels because, but you can also do some
Correct.
of the local things to create an experience. And I agree. I think that is doing some of the tasks of daily life, searching, being for your partner to be able to find the things that have meaning for them in that place. So I would definitely make sure if he likes a casino, that your place has good access to a casino. Or if, like Rob about chess, make sure that you bring that up. Hey, I hear that there's a regular... If you want to see the communities of expats or community of Black expats, find the spaces of where they are so that you can interact with them and sometimes let them know you're coming. A lot of them will make space for you in some form of fashion. And Raven is correct. If you are going with more than yourself, get those other people engaged in the process. Mm-hmm. If you got 10 people and you doing all the work, then you need to go alone. I cannot plan your move abroad.
Okay, we're not visiting on my back. Do the as a collective process.
Prophet Mother, I am still learning.
That's a good one.
I'm still learning, but it is giving all the gives, and we are going to have Teresa, who has created a chat GPT tool. She's actually going to be on our channel in December, talking about some tools that she's created with AI that'll help move your process along. So trust me, I'm making the connections to make sure we've got that content, but definitely thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, do that. That's a good one.
That you
more
guys
about
are
process
interested.
Stuff to be video. Those can be individual. Okay.
Yeah.
So David, yes, fact where you visit is most important. And Tanya, have him actively work on getting in those community groups. David is in Mazatlan. David is my boy. David, make contact with David. Have David talk to him. And another perspective, another voice. He can see the videos David and I have done together. And that goes for Lamar over in Querétaro. That you can watch Move Abroad and Thrive with Cartes. You can watch who else is down that way?
Melanin Man Travels is in Guadalajara.
Right. So there are men there that he can watch that he can say, okay, these are guys doing the process. And in any other country you choose, you can do the same thing. There are men who are posting saying there are men in Panama, there are men in Thailand, there are men in Vietnam, and no, they're not all 20-year-old guys, whatever the stereotypes are. They're guys doing this.
Absolutely. Yeah, Querétaro is a really beautiful in-between city. So it's not a lot of people of Mexico, and it's not small like San Miguel. It's a nice sized community with the main airport. It's got a lot of good bells and whistles. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
Let's see. So there are several, a lot of people. So
I love Lake Chapala.
Lake Chapala is big. Ajijic, San Miguel.
Yeah.
All of those are now. Again, I still think that is. I think the smaller you are, I think you need to be more prepared to manage your language skills. I think people who have a broader language base can do a little more small and diverse because there's going to be less English speakers there. I'm hoping to eventually make my way in that process, but my Spanish is about.
It's 32 states. There are 32 states in Mexico. La Paz has a big interest for me because I'd like to be closer, but not on the beach. So I'm wondering, a couple of my friends have done house sits. And there are a lot of good places. There are some good quality, as I said, content creators out there that are sharing that broad view of Mexico. I'm going to mention one. We're not affiliated with them at all, but Mexico Relocation Tours has a guide, but she also does videos that talk about different cities in Mexico, with a realistic view.
Absolutely.
So she'll quote, apartment prices. She has video of the Mercado. She has video of the city streets so that you can get a sense of. But I would definitely say, thank you for showing me. I'm going to spend some time on the ground.
And she does YouTube in the Mexican Relocation Guide. She does YouTube videos and she sends regularly newsletter. And I mean, really good, detailed information. It's not just touristy. I mean, she gets, she's helping people to move. Right. So that's a good resource. Doc says, will I be continuing Man Monday in 2025?
You know what?
So
she knows how to push your buttons.
So first the answer is yes.
Friends don't let friends.
And telling me he didn't ask my permission to interject himself into your life. So you got to come back. You got to double back. But yes, I have a video that I'm hoping to post for Monday. It's a recorded video with my closest friend. We sat down and had a conversation about restarting our lives as men after 50, new career. A friend of mine just began his career as a chiropractor at 50, and I want to share that experience. I also plan to have. I'm reaching out to a group of men now. I'm probably going to do a panel on our Saturday versus our Monday evenings because I think it's time to boost a few of the conversations with some of the men that we've interacted with about some different versions of things that we've learned and are exploring. Encourage the Black men in your lives to participate in this community in these conversations. We're attempting to build some level of community space. We are not trying to be Exodus Summit. because women engage differently than men do. We want to have a resource space for the Black man where they can drop in and ask questions in a safe space, and we can explore so that those of us or those who have done this, who have spouses, and they've said, we had this conversation, this is how, this is what they might be trying to share with you, or this is what you might want to share with them. That space and that growth in this process, and just as men in general, even if they aren't in the move abroad space.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm planning to, and for those as well, Tanya, I'm looking for conversation ideas in that format as well.
Very, very good.
Let's
Another
see.
vote for Mariana's Mexico relocation guide.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's been doing it for several years.
Let's see. Looking forward to that video. My husband, 53, going through the same process, pivoting completely. Oh yeah, it just. I am reevaluating the space that I'm in, and this is new. Not new. You've heard me talk about it before. I have been in the culinary space now. This year was 10 years. And this year is probably the first time in that 10 years, this is the least work I've done in my field. And attacking the confidence, attacking the imposter syndrome, attacking the viability, the financial stability, fighting through all those things, and taking a look at this is the time of my life to put all on the table, to risk forward, to move forward. I am blessed to have a partner who is supportive and says, you know, if you want it, do it. You were there for me. I'm here for you. We do this together. And does not feel intimidated or scared off, because it can have an impact on our process, because it's going to. But these are the times when we make it. I'm finding that if you look at the history of men, let's use a biblical reference and then we'll move on. Let's use a biblical reference. If you look at the true history of the biblical reference, most of the men in the Bible who you saw when they were becoming mindful about their lives and successful in their lives and were getting married in their lives, a lot of them were 40 and older. They weren't 20-year-olds. They were often marrying or picking up significant others who were very young, and we'll leave that on the table where it is. But that, you know, Isaac was 40 when he started when Abraham helped him to go find a wife. 40. Jacob was 40. David was not a 20-year-old going out to fight Goliath. That's not true. He was the youngest, but he was a boy in the sense of the development of their family, but he was not a child. Those stories are misleading. Father Joseph, father of Jesus, was 40 when he married Mary, who was very young. Okay. And was realizing it as we continue to grow and develop as men. And some of us are just coming into our realization when life and times and jobs are telling us it's time to slow down. We're hitting our peak, fellas. And I think it's time to click at that. So that video will be that, and I'll post that.
We got recommendations in the chat.
San Luis Potosi. Smallish and has an international airport, which is rare for small.
I need to look that up.
San Luis Potosi. All right. Want to say hi to this Michelle Gaynor.
Hey.
Are you guys only considering Mexico? So no, we're not only considering Mexico. Mexico was where we got our visas first. It is our simplest approach. Spain and quite a bit of Southeast Asia, Thailand, Vietnam, India. I don't know if I want to live in India, but I definitely want to spend some time in India. I want to spend a considerable amount of time in India. We are looking at various countries in the continent of Africa. Said that on purpose.
Very good. Thank you.
Because I want the YouTube to get in the continent of Africa. We're considering several countries.
If anybody,
go ahead.
Stop.
Go ahead.
If anyone We've had someone on, we've had two people on to talk about Rwanda. We are interested in the 10-year visa there. If you have information about how to go, we're going to DC because you can only do it in DC when you're in the country. Give us a holler. We are, we have a few more questions before we get ready for that visit. So yeah, Mexico was a solution that we wanted to have in place.
Correct.
And so it was important for us to start that very early in our process, even though we may have considered it not necessarily the place that was our forever place. But we have parents, we have kids. Sometimes it's easier to jump closer in proximity. That's an easier sell. Or if we ever had to move, we'd be moving close to the US. The hope is to not have to move back.
So and earlier we talked about our interest in quite a bit of South Africa. So Costa Rica, well,
and so South America.
So Ecuador, Colombia, possibly Honduras. So there's some places south as well. Hold on, the way I want to.
Yeah, for quality of life and reasonable cost. Absolutely. She does a lot of that.
I want to say hi to Nick's Tricks 84.
Yeah.
Welcome. Good to see you. And to her statement down here, my interest, and it answers Jace's as well. I'm still researching India.
Mm-hmm.
So Indian food is one of my personal comfort food spaces. I also like what I've seen about the architectural culture history. Now, having said that, as I understand it, again, this is from a distance learning. India is a very male-heavy dominant population.
It's why it's on his list and not mine.
So again, but it's also why it's on my visitation list and not necessarily on my living list. Asia in general has, including India, has a lot of monocultural, kind of things that they have found accepting differences to be a little more difficult. That doesn't mean that they aren't accepting. As a Black man, I go into that cautiously. Because again, I think, and you hear me say this all the time, Black women are accepted around the world. They are beautiful, they're exotic. All men love Black women. Black men have been portrayed in spaces around the world that we have to be mindful about how we go into them. Yes, I'm definitely wanting to go to Sri Lanka.
Yes, because Christina, one of my friends out of Exodus Summit, spent a significant time there and has a digital nomad. Okay, I didn't realize they had digital nomad. They were on the digital nomad visa list.
Yeah,
so absolutely.
All right, so Nichelle is headed to Bangkok. We're keeping Mexico and the EU. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And
why we like Thailand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can mention it again if you don't know why I love Thailand. Well, which is also kind of some of the similar for Philippines.
Right.
And there's the retirement age.
And there's a lot of cultural overlap in those countries.
The retirement visa is accessible at 50. And the cost of that visa is less. So we have been looking for those visas. Being in that side of the world, there's a lot going on around access. Mm-hmm. And so I don't want to wait too long about those places, mm-hmm. because a lot of those policies are shifting and changing. Our son wants to go to Japan, so that may put us on the road to scouting out those places. And also, if you're looking for a place that has jobs, don't have a, what do you call that? I don't have a remote job that I can take with me, but could I work on the ground? There are a lot of teaching opportunities for folks that don't have a teaching certificate
Correct.
in that side of the world
Correct.
as well. So Japan, you do not for the JETS program. A lot of folk go to South Korea. Usually the base requirement is a bachelor's degree. So, you know, and you are providing teaching assistance in a lot of those countries. So same for Thailand, the teaching opportunity. So the student visas, in addition to the retirement visa, the digital nomad visa, are all ways to get out, you know, but we're also playing the game of, do we want to incur having to pay taxes in another
Correct.
place? You know, how do we leverage these longer visas like in Albania? I've been mentioning that more. We've been talking about that more because of that 1 year access to by US passport holders to be able to go for a year. And you don't even have to qualify for another visa. So, I mean, there are a lot of possibilities in the world, which has made me, as I said, very greedy. Do I want to settle down yet? Probably not. Do I want to secure those residency visas sooner than later? Yes. So absolutely. And a lot of us are going to Thailand, Vietnam, our Sandra and, oh goodness, what's her name? Sandra and Cha and Malika are all in Malaysia. So there's a lot of incentive for me to now be able to go to those places, not just for what I have loved about their culture and their accessibility from a visa standpoint, but now I got sisters there. Oh, I'm hitting the road. So
Michelle is mentioning the DTV, the Destination Thailand.
Correct.
She says down here that it allows you to attend school. So hit me in Instagram and message and DM me in Instagram. I'd like to chat with you a little bit, possibly.
Yeah, there's a facilitator that we met with this year that talked about the DTV visa. And also we talked to some folks in I think the Philippines is even more accessible than the Thailand visa. So yeah.
Nikki said they need teachers down there in Mexico. So if you're in the chat and you're talking. So as you can see by the pretty light on the pretty lady's face, the sun is moving that way, and I need to go put some hedge clippers on my grass before the sky falls out. It is always great to have you all here. This has been a great conversation. Thank you for allowing us to share.
Absolutely. And sharing with us.
Sharing with us.
When we get off, I'll make sure I captured all of the tips. We are so excited to have met many of our personal goals for this year. Slowing the process down for this year was disappointing, to say the least. I mean, like, I really had to get in the right headspace to say, this realigning our process, realigning when we are ready to leave is going to give me the peace that I need, and not just the peace out that I desire. So
that's a good one. I didn't write that on the shirt. Yeah. Pamela, Nikki, y'all get together.
Absolutely.
We have a Patreon community. We have an email list. We do consultations and conversations. Please be a part of our community. All in this chat, half or more of the people in this chat either have a YouTube page or have some program where they provide information and resources that are beneficial to you. If you did not snap screenshots today, please come back and watch this later and screenshot at these people and reach out to them on their YouTube pages and their programs, because as a community together, we advance better. We are
Mhm.
more because we are more than just the sum of our parts.
Yeah.
And it is an honor to be a part of this community with you.
Absolutely.
Yes, Raven, everything isn't a wake-up call at this point.
Oh, yes.
Be on your guard. Open your ears, open your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Speak
Mhm.
when you need to speak, and not just when you're spoken to.
And when they
And,
show you who they are, believe them the first time.
we appreciate you on this beautiful Saturday afternoon here, Saturday night, somewhere where you all are, Sunday morning. But we always glad that you're here. If you're here from the future, please go into the comment section, hit hashtag replay gang, drop us some thoughts and comments. Again, we are looking for content suggestions because we are still learning and growing. Hope to see you all soon. Herman, D,
D.
see you
Bye for
soon.
now.